Hey, this week in worship, we talked about the importance of listening. Eric Weihenmayer reached the summit of Mount Everest on May 25th in 2001. Listen, did you know that the success rate of those who attempt to climb Mount Everest is only like 29%? And yet, despite all of that, hundreds of people get permission to climb Everest every year, and would-be climbers have to obtain a permit which costs about $11,000. And more than 300 people have died trying. So it's amazing that he even made it. But what makes Eric's climb even more amazing is that he's been blind since he was 13 years old. So how did he succeed? He listened well. He listened for a bell tied to the back of the climber in front of him. He listened for instructions of teammates who would shout directions to him. He listened for the sound of his pick jabbing the ice to know whether it was safe to cross. He made the summit because he listened well. Australian mountain climber Andy Holzer, who has been blind since birth, became the second and only other blind man to summit Mount Everest on the highest mountain in the world. So this past week in worship, when we talked about the importance of listening and helping people come to know Jesus, here's the thing I want to make sure that we get from this. Because these two climbers listened with their ears. And when it comes to listening to people, most of the listening you need to do isn't with your ears. It's actually with your eyes. You have undoubtedly heard before that 80% of all communication is nonverbal. As a parent, you already know that because it includes eye rolls from your kids, even your adult kids. That means you've got to keep your eyes open and on whoever you're talking to. Jesus did this. It was an important way he showed people he cared. Mark 10 records a meeting Jesus has with a rich young ruler. You may be familiar with this story, but I want to read you just a few verses of it. So in Mark chapter 10, beginning in verse 17, as Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. Good teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus answered, why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. You know the commandments. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. You shall not defraud. Honor your mother and father. Teacher, he declared, all of these I've kept since I was a boy. And Jesus looked at him and loved him. One thing you lack, he said. Go and sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. Listen, here's what I want to make sure you catch. Jesus looked at him and loved him. If you love people, you'll look at them. Looking people in the eye says, you have my undivided attention. You are valued. You are significant to me. You are worth listening to, and I'm going to prove it by looking you in the eye. Listen, think about how important this could be to the person that you're talking to about your faith and how following Jesus has, changed your life. You paying attention this weekend could help you encourage someone who has been beat up all week long. Listen, I know you've got a lot on your plate. There is no doubt about that. And it's easy to have something or someone else on your mind while you're talking with someone. But you can't fake listening. People know when you're a million miles away from them in the conversation you're having. And in today's world, there are many, many people who don't feel loved and cared for by anyone. And honestly, they'll gauge how important they are to Jesus by how important they are to you. And for added incentive, it may affect your faith too. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, he who can no longer listen to his brother will soon no longer be listening to God. Hey, let's all be, quick to listen. And here's how you can practice today. If you have family at home with you, a spouse or children, ask them about their day and then listen to them with your ears and your eyes. I guarantee it will register with them. Let that encourage you to take your listening eyes to your unbelieving friends so they feel heard by you and by Jesus.